Partnership is the essence of European collaborative research. However, it's often the hardest step of the process, particularly if you're not used to working in large projects before or large groups before. So this podcast is just to give you a few hints from our own experience on how you can practically build productive partnerships. The first thing you need to think about is what package or weapon you're going to take with you to do the job of finding partners in new sectors, in new organisation types that you've never met before. So the first thing is not to go and just describe yourself and expect somebody else to make the link with their own work. Think about how your work reaches into their world, be it as a small company, as a large company. What do they do and how does your research fit onto that? If you can fit that round a funding scheme, even better, because you can go to somebody and say, this is what I do and I'd like to set up a collaboration to achieve something else and use this kind of mechanism to do it. It gives them a really great positive structure in which to respond, and it helps them to start building a trusted relationship with you because you have already demonstrated that you are doing the work that will bring them into a valuable partnership. And so then practically, how can you get into different kinds of partner environments? So the first thing is, why don't you go and look at projects that have been funded in your field before? Go and look at the European Commission website, look at the National Institutes of Health websites. If you get national funding from government agencies, look at their websites. They list the projects that they funded. And this will give you a really good idea of the kinds of organisations that are active in collaborations, what the projects have funded, who the people are. And before you know it, you understand much more about the project structure itself and the kind of people that could be your partners in future projects. Also make use of the government-funded agencies that are there to help you internationalise. So you have national contact points for framework funding. They are funded and provide a free service, so make them work. You also have the Europe Enterprise Network, which stretches all over Europe, can reach into lots of corners and look for interesting new technologies and companies. Also, why don't you look more at meetings that your target partners might go to? Go to a partnering meeting in a different sector, for example. These meetings are extremely useful to get you focused time in front of people that you have selected from a detailed partnering profile and schedule. It can be very useful. It can be more expensive, but often there are academic rates to get in, small company rates, practical ways into different meetings. But you definitely have to move outside your own comfort zone to find these guys. And lastly, what about the different traits of different kinds of partners that you're going to find? We all live in very different worlds, different cultural positions, different methods of operating, different time scales, and so you just need to be aware of what people you're talking to are likely to be thinking. So if we look at the main groups, let's look at academics, for example. An academic group may be hesitant to move their research into a new application, particularly if it feels it moves them away from their core speciality. They also may be very cautious about letting their knowledge and value move into, say, the private sector, for example. So be very clear about where you're going to use information, how it's going to be used, what the value is for them. Let's look at SMEs. These are completely different to academic groups. These guys are small and fast-moving. The person you speak to is likely to be the person that can make the decision. They are also very deliverable driven. They have a specific technical milestone to reach within a certain point of time. Otherwise they're going to run out of money and close. So you will find they are sharp to make decisions and they expect sharpness of action from the partners that they work with, because it is absolutely essential within their business model that they get to their destination. And large companies, lastly, these guys are completely different again. They work within large, relatively rigid structures. The person you speak to initially may be far, far away from the person who actually makes the decision, and they're very slow decision makers. It could be 6 months' time before you get feedback from a different office in Europe before they're going to commit to anything. They usually take a long time to warm up to become formal project partners because the strategic decision making in a large multinational company is not taken locally, it is taken globally. So you'll often find they are better partners if you bring them into things like advisory boards, steering committees. They're not giving themselves a formal contractual commitment to a project, but you will still get maximum value out of what they have learned from the process you were about to take. And above all, my recommendation is focus on the science, focus on the project ideas, not around the barriers that may prevent you from working together. Once you get a team of passionate scientists from research and academia, that's most of the barriers eliminated, because you have a plan and you can take it forward past the things that may be bottlenecks otherwise. And that is all I recommend.